Thank you for tuning into another episode of She Laughs, a podcast dedicated to bringing you honest and transparent viewpoints in this daily faith journey. Now join with me as we listen to T and Kristal discuss the latest.
Hey everybody, it's your girl Kristal,
Hey everybody, it's Tanisha.
and welcome to another episode of She Laughs.
Yes.
Welcome back. This week we actually have a special guest, so we're going to allow her to introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Jamie. I am Jamie Haynes. I am a licensed professional counselor in the state of Georgia. That means I do therapy. So you can sit on my blue couch and tell me all that is going on.
All right.
Yes. Oh man, we are excited to have you on.
Thank you.
So, we've been planning this now for a couple of weeks, so it's time, especially with everything that's going on.
Amen.
So, guys, you know it's our weekly check-in. So, how's everyone feeling?
We can let our guest go first. Go ahead, Jamie. Tell us how you're feeling.
I am feeling well, actually. I'm currently up here at my place in Illinois. So I kind of like live between Georgia and Illinois. And the place up here in Illinois is in like a very suburb of suburbs. So it's kind of cool to just like relax and take a break away from everything. That feels good. I also took a few days off of work. I do online therapy for betterhelp.com. So I took a few days away from just talking to people and a way to decompress for myself. So today I'm well. How about y'all?
I'm doing pretty well today. It's been, I know everybody that's listening is probably surprised because normally I'm like, I don't know. Today I'm having a good day today. It's been a pretty good week. Not surrounding wise, but just mental health wise. It's been a really good week. So a good day, and gonna continue to stay in prayer that the rest of the day continues to go well.
Yes.
Well, guys, it's like T and I flipped, because if I'm honest, in the moment right now, it's a good moment. Today is going good. But this week, since our last check-in, was a really kind of tough week. Mental health wise, emotional wise. Just got a couple of hits. And the good thing about it was I knew I was able to kind of catch it in the moment and bring it under submission. Rather than, and also what I was really proud of is that I tend to, when I get emotionally stressed or distraught, go to emotional eating. And this week I didn't go to emotional eating. I went to emotional working out.
Hey. Yes.
So it was a huge difference in how I was able to handle some triggers that are there for me. So yeah, it's just a week. It's been a week.
Yeah.
It's been a week.
Yeah. Sometimes it is just a week. Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks guys for that update and everything. Well, fam, as always, you know, we go into our quotables, and this is the part of our show where if you've seen something interesting on the interwebs, a lot of that's been going on lately. If you've been entangled in any situation, that's the only reference that I'm going to make to this on this show. But whether it's something uplifting, something positive, something that's just going on in the media, we want to talk about it. So, guys, what are y'all's quotables? What have you seen?
Well, my quotable, I don't think it's shady, but some might.
Oh, come on with the shade.
It's just honesty. And I saw it a few weeks ago, and I'm just now remembering that I've seen it. And it says, "Never address shade from trees with no fruit."
Woo!
Well,
yeah.
Woo!
Yeah. That's that. I like that. Mainly because we're seeing a lot of I guess, honesty going around in relationships, not just married people, but friendships, because of the isolation and the social distancing.
Mm-hmm.
And people are really, really evaluating people in their lives like they should have.
Yes.
And when you get to the point where you notice, or when you really try to start to find yourself and who you are and start to like you really stop worrying about what everybody else has to say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially when you look at their own life. And not to say that, everybody that has nice things, cars, great jobs, beautiful houses, are ugly on the inside, but a lot of them are.
Mm.
So the fruit that they bear isn't necessarily tangible things, but the fruit that they bear are, do they have a good relationship with their husband? Are they okay in their relationships with their family? Do they know how to have connections with people? Are they struggling to sleep? Because most times those type of people don't really sleep very well.
Yeah.
So you have to really look at the whole person before you really want to figure out, should you be concerned with their view of you or opinion of you or not.
Mm, 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 mm.
All facts. All facts. I always
Man,
say, be wary of taking advice from people you wouldn't trade lives with.
come
That's a good one too.
If you're
come
not
on.
willing to switch situations with someone, be mindful of the advice that they're giving.
Yes. Whew. So y'all just gonna already start like preaching and teaching before we get into the topic today? I got it. I got you. I got you. Well, Miss Jamie,
Yes.
what do you have? Do you have one for us?
So it's gonna probably flow into the topic of today. But one of my favorite things that I like to live by or remember in tough times is a quote from my pastor, and he said, "No one ever drowned from falling in the water. They drowned from staying in the water." Which means, tough times will come. That is the epitome
Right.
of life. You just can't
Yes.
stay in the moment.
Right.
You just can't stay in the moment. I am a firm believer of processing. I think sometimes we try to positive patty our way through things without actually feeling and
Yes.
dealing with what we're going through. So I'm a firm believer in processing, but you can't stay there. You have to arrive at the solution, and how do you move forward from something. So yeah,
Wow.
that's
That is
that's mine.
that's so good. Oh wow. All right. Well, it seems like all of us are really in the same vein this week.
Mm-hmm.
So my quotable comes from one of the master classes that I've been taking with Dr. Kalita Forbes.
Mm-hmm.
And if any of you know her, if you don't know her, go follow her on Facebook and Instagram. She is amazing. She is a mental therapist as well. And so she's been hosting this masterclass, and we're on week 2, called The Anatomy of Insecurity.
Ooh.
And so I was going back over last week's, and she said something before she even started teaching. And I caught it, and I was like, that's the quotable for this week. This is the one. And she said, being emotionally healthy will cost you something. Maturity will cost you something, because your relationships are only as healthy as the maturity of the people in the relationship.
Yeah.
That's deep.
That's real deep. Yeah.
And I was like, yo, a lot of us don't realize that it costs us something to get well, because we think that everyone around us wants us to be well.
Right.
And a lot of times, what we don't realize is that your wellness causes insecurity in some of the people around you
Come on now.
that you didn't
Come on now.
realize. And when you get well, it forces them to either have to come up and be well or fall off and stay in the sickness.
Right.
Mm.
So, in all things, you have to be well because you're doing it for you. And that can be painful when you realize that some people just want to remain sick because they want to be sick.
Yep. Living in the
So,
narrative.
Yes.
Living
Yes.
in the narrative. I say to my clients a lot, um, we all fall into a narrative, and it's not always healthy, but it becomes a security blanket for us because it's familiar. And I was like, the security blanket might be wool or it might be burlap. It don't feel good, but we stay with it because it's our narrative and it's comfortably uncomfortable.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
there's fear letting go of that security blanket, no matter what the fabric may be. And so some people do want to stay sick and they want you to stay there with them. But when you want to heal, then it becomes an issue.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, facts.
Mm-hmm.
All facts. So,
Yeah.
oh, wow. Well, guys, if y'all haven't caught on just yet as to what we will be talking about in this today's episode, T, why don't you tell them?
We are talking about mental health during a pandemic.
Mm. Mm.
Not just every day, even though it is needed, but now it seems like it's at its peak and bubbling over.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Um, these are all new times for everybody. No one's been here before. I was listening. Well, I was listening to my sister listen to the governor of Georgia speak today.
Yeah.
Speaking of mental health, you can't listen to every news conference, every article,
No, you
every
can't.
tweet, every social
Yeah.
media post. You can't. You got to know how to separate yourself from stuff because it becomes too much. It's overload. So I was listening to her listen to it and talk about it, and I was just like, there's a fine line. You got some people who are way on the left side, like don't leave the house, can't go anywhere, mask up, glove up, hand sanitizer down. Then you got folks out here on the other side who, what pandemic? What
Yes.
virus? What quarantine? Oh, life stopped for people? Oh, I didn't even know. And so I feel like you got to find where you fall in that spectrum because both sides, if you're too far on either side, can be unhealthy. Um, I know that coronavirus is out there and it's real and people are dying and they're getting sick, but
Yeah.
you will also become mentally unwell if you stay in the house all day, every day, and never leave your home. We are not designed to stay in one place like
Right.
that.
Yeah.
It is key for our mental health to have a variety of atmosphere. And you could do that in driving to a park. You could do that in just going for a drive around the perimeter. Like you have to find a way to get out in the healthiest form for you, but you cannot stay in the house all day every day. It will drive you insane.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there is a healthy balance, or healthy has air quotes. There's a balance to find to be able to stay and remain safe, but also take care of you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Yes. And I love that you said that about finding the balance because we, like you said, we've seen spectrums on both sides. And I see people, they're like, well, you shouldn't even be in groups around anybody. And then you have some who are like, well, if it's groups of 10 or less, or others who are really just all the way back in restaurants and going to bars and clubs. And I think there's a lot of judging
Mm-hmm.
going on right now instead of realizing that what you think is best for your mental isn't what's best for others.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think we need to extend a little bit more grace to people because I remember when we first went into quarantine, the number of suicides increased drastically, if I'm not
You're
mistaken.
right. You're correct.
So how can we combat that? Because it seems like we're about to go into another, if not more severe quarantine, provided our government acts right. politically correct.
Huge asterisk right there.
Yeah.
um uh there's so I started in this field of mental health back in 2010 with my internship, and I learned in my second week of work. I believe in God, but you got to have some higher power that's going to keep you grounded throughout life. There's a lot of people out here who believe that they are in control of everything on their own, or just like luck and happenstance. But I've definitely learned that you got to have something deeper and higher to connect to stay sane. um, and then in regards to like why the suicide rate increased, sometimes it's hard for people to see past the current moment. Like they can't see getting out of this at all. I had a client that told me she felt like the coronavirus would never go away and quarantine would never end. And she was so serious. And I said, take reference to some of the other things like the Spanish flu of 1918 or the Great Depression or 9/11 or something. Very, very heavy moments. But we found a way to get through past and recalibrate life afterward. And those are the glimmers of hope that you have to hang on to in the darkest moments. And that's why I say you have to have a belief of something higher to know that this isn't a life sentence. I always say you can't put permanent emotion to a temporary situation.
That's good.
Because you won't be able to get past it. And so in moments like this, when life comes at you really hard and it's uncertain and we don't know what's going to happen, you've got to learn the power of adaptability and flexibility. We try to plan our lives so much and it builds a sense of rigidity. And whenever something is rigid, it breaks. It breaks. If you build a sense of flexibility, you bend. And so having the insight that this is a time in life when we must learn to bend, and it's going to be really uncomfortable because we may not have bent in that position before, but know that you don't have to break from this.
That's good.
That's real good.
Yeah.
Well, I have a question, Jamie. Have you seen a rise of increase in your clientele since COVID-19?
So, yeah, I actually started doing the online therapy a month before life changed. And so none of my conversations were all centered around this is why I signed up for online therapy right now, period, point blank. Within 30 days of me being on there, every single conversation I had was about the adjustment of life falling apart practically because before we hit this whole quarantine, things were unraveling. Like people were getting sick and travel plans went away and daycares closed and school was stopped. Like things were unraveling.
Right.
And I used to take on new people. I kid y'all not. I had my caseload open to take on new people. I opened it up for 1 hour and I got 20 people. I was like, oh no. Oh no. So I had to close it back off. That was a bit much. But yeah, there are people out there who need someone to talk to. Online therapy is amazing because you don't have to go anywhere outside of your home.
Right.
You can just meet with people on the phone or by chat or by video. And so, yes, I actually think that around that time also, the platform that I work on, BetterHelp's server platform, we had a lot of issues with like videos and calls and stuff because I think it was overloaded by how many people were signing up to have someone to talk to process this new change in life. I think, well, I'm in my mid 30s now. I started a decade ago in our mid 20s, and the stigma around mental health and therapy has come a long way. It's not as taboo, and people don't look at you with their eyes squinted when you say, I have a therapist now, because that is way more common and accepted than it was just a while ago. So I think that, the stigma around needing to have someone to process with has gone down, but it hasn't gone down far enough because, people still have a negative vantage point of therapy and quote unquote telling your business to a stranger.
I will say, like you said, Jamie, that we have started to see that stigma go down, especially in the African American community.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in this last, and I would say maybe in the last 3 to 4 years, I have seen more preachers and Christian influencers talk about how you need Jesus and therapy than has ever been mentioned before.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's nice to know because in our culture, a lot of people will say, well, you just need to meditate on scriptures.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you just need to go to the throne of grace. And I think that's well and fine. Like, you need to have belief in a higher power. But you also need to understand, I think, and be realistic that we have actual legitimate mental health issues going on, and you need to seek professional therapy for that. The same way you would go see a doctor if
Absolutely.
you were sick, it's no different. Um, so have you noticed like support coming from the church more um now, and a greater increase in just the African American community being more receptive?
Definitely the African American community being more receptive. Um, African American men are the lowest population that seeks therapy. I think that's a lot to do with, oh, the man's supposed to be so strong, and men don't share emotions or talk to people about what's going on. But as a whole, the Black community seems to be a lot more open and honest about having therapy as an addition to the church, the
Yeah.
pastor, the deacons that you can go to. I was raised in the religious aspect of Southern Baptist. As I got older, I strayed a bit, went to live in the world. Then I found my way back to my walk, but it was more of a spiritual walk than just a set you have to be religious. I ended up joining a non-denominational church, and I love my pastor so much because he teaches rather than preaches, and it's more of like life application backed by the word of God, backed by scripture, backed by principle, rather than look up James dot 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 and you trying to decipher what the thous and the these mean.
Right.
I true, hey man, if you grew up Baptist, you getting hollered at. You getting hollered at with these thous and these. And even now in my adulthood, going back to a Baptist church, I'm like, uh, I don't know what the message was. Um,
I
so
got lost in translation.
I got so lost. I definitely believe that, as you grow up, whether or not you're raised in a church, you're given a foundation of something. I think that as you build your house, it is up to you to decide what the materials are going to be, not just put up what somebody else has told you to put up. And I
Come
think
on.
that as you get older and you combine the understanding of staying healthy mentally and staying healthy spiritually, they do go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Mm.
They do go hand in hand. You have to be a gatekeeper of your peace. And that comes in so many forms. That comes in your quiet time with God and who you believe in. And that also comes in being able to establish boundaries and telling people, not today, not today. So you have to have an establishment of health in both the spiritual and the mental realm
Right.
to continue to be able to get up and do this every day.
This thing called life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So once you feel like you may need help, how do you go about doing that?
So many avenues now. You have like the social media world or Instagram where you can put in like Black female therapists, or you can put therapy for color or You know, like I saw black male therapist as a hashtag the other day.
Mm.
Google, always, Google will tell you who you can go to in your area. If you can go,
Mm-hmm.
if you have a insurance provider, you can go through your insurance to see if they provide behavioral health assistance, because sometimes you can get X amount of sessions on your insurance that is covered. You
Oh.
have the realm that I have, which is online therapy, Talkspace, BetterHelp.com. There's so many of them out there now. It's basically, the point is to be able to find help is at your fingertips. You know, the way that technology continues to evolve, you can always start with searching the internet, but you can also talk to your friends. They may have a recommendation of someone to use, or I found my therapist through this, that, and the other.
Mm.
The point being, you have to be open to seek the help.
Right.
Open your mouth or open your computer and go find the help, because it is there for you.
Mm.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Now, say if someone doesn't have the insurance, like right now we're in a pandemic. So we have a lot of people that are unemployed. They're
Mm-hmm.
struggling. What other avenues? Is there other ways for them to pay for it? Or is there programs that are giving out free counseling? How can they go and get the help they need if they don't have the insurance?
You can always inquire with a therapist and see if they do a sliding scale, which
Okay.
is usually financial assistance for people who can't pay a full session fee.
Mm.
Sometimes I think you may find that people will give out, like BetterHelp, the platform I work for, does a free week where you have a full week of access to a therapist that you get matched with. Um, BetterHelp that I work with also does a financial assistance where I believe it's reduced price. You can also see if like, is there a community therapist type thing that you may be able to get some sort of assistance on. So, yeah, the insurance and the unemployment definitely plays a huge factor in the ability to to seek some of the help that you need. But I believe that with all that's going on, people understand folks need help.
Need help. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you also find, like on IG, you may find that people are doing like a live where you see 2 or 3 therapists might be taking questions, or like hosting just a talk space for people to come and release and decompress, or even what we're doing, a podcast. You may be able to pick up some insights from something like this.
No.
Okay. So basically, it's out there. You just really have to be willing to look.
You do. It's definitely out there. um and there's a vulnerability in asking for help, and I think that deters people a lot.
Mm-hmm.
We have this I have to be strong complex, which often leads to people suffering silently, feeling like they have to go through things on their own.
Mm-hmm.
But God gives us community for a reason.
Yes.
Oftentimes you will find somebody else on the face of this earth who is going through what you're going through, or has been through what you're going through, and they can give you a word of wisdom. But we don't have to go through life alone. We don't have to feel like we only have to take it on by ourselves. God gave us a community for a reason, so that we
Mm-hmm.
have someone to be with.
Yes, ma'am. That's good. So, I know Crystal brought up the church, but do you think there's anything in particular they can be doing to help those in their congregations? I know now, with the building itself being closed,
Mm-hmm.
you can't congregate that way, but a lot of them are able to still reach out through, like we said, through the internet and online. Is there anything in particular you think that they can do to help those that they deem maybe need the extra help to be talking to people?
Um, I don't think it's remiss for the churches to share. If you are feeling like you need someone to talk to, we have a prayer line, or perhaps the church hires a team of mental health therapists that are available, some sort of hotline to call. I mean, with everything being virtual or on the web right now, you have to find a creative way to still be able to offer it to your congregation. This is the extra assistance you may need because you're watching the pastor deliver his message, but it's not like everyone has access to their pastor. So
Right.
I think that it would be good if churches did say, during these unprecedented times, if you need an extra ear or someone to pray with you or someone to talk with you, you can reach out through this, that, and the other.
Good.
You do hear a lot of that secular versus spiritual mix with therapy in church, but I don't think it's such a bad thing. You do have like Christian therapists and all. You have people who operate out of therapy out of a religious walk.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I don't think it would be bad if the churches did offer that kind of extra assistance.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree because someone I talk about all the time. Dr. Matthew Stevenson talks about his therapist. He even created a shirt that said, "My therapist told me to express myself." And so,
Mm-hmm.
and so you will often hear him quote it. And I thought that was so amazing because it really lets us know that as people, we're always talking, but we're never really expressing ourselves.
Yeah, that's good.
So you're always saying something, but are you really saying exactly what it is that you really want to say?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like the fact that he even said he has a therapist because I know last year we saw a lot of increase of suicide by pastors.
Yes.
It was really big
That is
last year.
true. That's true.
And I just found it interesting how the church has always acted as if therapy was a bad thing, but then you're ignoring the fact that the pastor that you constantly dump all your cares and worries on is struggling, him or herself.
Right.
So I never understood why churches didn't integrate more community, like real community, into their everyday services. And I think now that services online and people have to use things like Facebook to connect and communicate with each other, we're seeing more of those groups where they're sharing a lot. Even those who don't even live in a certain city and are attending a church online, there are groups for that church online, and there's community within that group. So now you are really seeing people do what God always intended us to do. Like you said, Jamie, we were created for community's purpose. That's Genesis 2:18, where God says man should not be alone. He wasn't talking about a spouse. He was talking about community. So now we're really seeing it. So I never understood why churches didn't develop that on their own. But now they have no other choice because it's here and it's needed.
You're right. It is so needed. It makes me think about when I was down in Savannah, Georgia, getting my grad degree, I found the practice of yoga. And I remember being at church in one of the like Christian education classes, and the lady who was leading the class was like really denouncing the practice of yoga. Obviously, the practice of yoga is founded in like Sanskrit and has a lot of chants and stuff like that. But when I started practicing it, where they would allow you to set your intentions and all that, I would just say a prayer. And I'm like, why couldn't we make it work for how we need it to work for us?
Right.
Yeah.
Why do we have to strike something down without being able to see it through an open lens and how you can cultivate it to be yours? So, when they bow down to the teacher at the end of class, I never bow, because of what it stands for, but I never did say any of the ohms and any of the chants and stuff. I just said a prayer to set my intentions. And I don't understand why we have to denounce something if it don't look like what we want it to look like. Well, have you been able to explore making it look like what you need it to look like?
Right.
Because there's a lot of healing in the practice of yoga.
I
There's a lot of. Go ahead.
I think the other part of it though is a lot of times we just as people don't know how to just be quiet
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
and
Mm.
still, which is actually going back to the word which yoga actually does do is he says be still, but
Mm-hmm.
we don't
Yes.
know how to do that. It's like if I'm by myself in a quiet room and I'm just meditating on his word and who he is. And meditating doesn't always mean reading. It's meditating on what I already have consumed, the knowledge I already have.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like we get scared. We think something else has to always be going on. And
Right.
God is like, I literally need you to be quiet. So if it takes yoga for me to get to you, I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
use it. And
Yep.
a lot of Christians will say, well, that's bad. And God is like, but I'm using it for my glory because I know that's how I can get to them.
Amen.
Yes. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We tend to shy away and speak bad about something we don't even understand, but perhaps that, just as you said, that's an outlet and an avenue for someone to take their moments to be closer to God, for
Yeah.
them to actually learn how to be still and slow down enough where you can open your heart and space to hear from Him.
Yes. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
So good. Well, T, you have any other questions?
I know we said that there is help out there, so that we got. But are there any tips that you might have that people can do? Maybe they're not sure that they're ready to necessarily seek therapy or necessarily talk to those that they love. Is there anything else that they can possibly do to try to decompress some of the anxiety they may feel by building up?
For sure. Find a trusted confidant, someone that you can talk to. If it's not a therapist, a homegirl that you know is going to slow down enough to let you be able to express and get some things out there. Um, I'm a huge advocate for journaling. The pen and the paper are going to be the most unbiased, like, let you get it out. They won't interrupt you or nothing. Place
Right.
that you can go. Um, Build your resources in regards to podcasts and books. You
Mm.
know, books will change your life. Books and
Yes.
people will change your life. So if you can't get to talk to someone, let the pages do the talking to you.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
Definitely the things, my, just as you said, Crystal, at the beginning of it, my therapy is working out. I found fitness in the midst of a huge depression, and at the same time, I was working on my walk with God. So I always say, fitness and faith saved my life. There's
Mm.
a lot of scientific things that happen to our body when we work out, and one of them being the amount of dopamine that's released in our brain. It's the happy endorphin. It's
Yeah.
pretty hard to be upset, beast out a workout, and still feel the same afterwards, because it's just like not chemically possible in your brain, because your effort is going into getting through this, and so your mental shift changes, like you're not focused on what you were before you started. So there's a lot of therapy in fitness and just seeking a lifestyle that brings about peace. If you're anxious about what's going on, turn off the television.
Yeah.
Don't keep talking
Yeah.
to your mom about it. Don't stay on social media about it. Literally shift your focus. If you want to research essential oils that's going to help you calm down, like, take the time to actually research. Then your attention is focused on that.
Mm-hmm.
So be intentional about where you set your thoughts and your actions. If you are immersed in what is going on in the world all day, that's because you're choosing to look at it and listen to it.
Right.
Yes.
Yes. It's not like someone came and beat it upside your head. You're choosing it. So be intentional with what you choose to spend your time and where you set your attention.
Yes.
That is so good.
That is very good because I know people who literally they wake up in the morning and they want to know the case number increase. And
Mm-mm.
like, why is that what you want to hear in the morning?
Mm-mm.
Like, you literally have no idea how you just set your day based off infection and death.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. You literally set your day based off
What
of
you
that.
set your day off of? Yeah, no, thank you. No,
And
thank you.
I've been telling a lot of people lately because I heard God tell me this, and I did it for a week, and it was so relaxing. He told me to fast my eye gates,
Mm.
and so I didn't watch any news. I wasn't even really even on social media because social media then will project to you as well. So you may not have watched the news, but one of your friends done posted something. I was like, nope, nope, nope. So I literally stayed off engaging that way. If I wanted to be social, I would call a friend, or I would go see a friend, or I would go meet them at the park, and we do it that way. But I just stayed off of social and stayed off of the news so that I could feel refreshed, and just take a mental break from ingesting all of that stuff. Because in a world where information is literally at the touch of your hands, consuming that stuff all day, every day it can be traumatic. Just to be
Yes,
call
it
it what
can.
it can be traumatic. So having the emotional, uh, how can I say this, Lord? Let me take that back. Having the awareness to say I'm going to care about my mental health today, and I'm not going to check it because, oddly enough, to people don't believe me, I really don't look at the news every day. I might
Me
check
either.
once or twice a week. That's all I need to know because you're talking about the same thing. Y'all,
Yeah.
y'all is
Yep.
literally talking about the same thing. So I don't need a minute by minute, play by play.
Nope.
Let me check in. Ain't nothing changed. Governor Kemp still acting the fool. Got it.
Whole food. Whole food. I am literally the same way. My mom's like, "How do you keep up with what's going on?" I'm like, "Trust me, if anything big happens, it finds its way to you."
It
But
does.
I don't. I definitely don't watch the news daily. I just it's again being a gatekeeper of your peace.
Yes.
What you allow into your spirit focuses on, and
Yeah.
we all know what's going on currently. You find your way to stay abreast of the topics, the big topics, but other than that, I mean, literally the same thing is happening day in, day out.
Yeah.
Day in,
People,
day out.
people reckless, people scared. Ain't nobody going to school and ain't nobody traveling. Okay, we know what's going on.
Thank you. This doesn't stay the same. Oh, and y'all still haven't decided to give us stimulus again. That's all.
Yes,
That's it. We know it.
we know it.
So y'all tell me when something different happened, then that means cases is still rising. That's got
Yes.
Exactly. Exactly.
so. Well, I don't have any more questions. T, if you have any.
No, ma'am. That's it.
So then,
Oh,
final thoughts. So, Jamie, this is where. What are your final thoughts on what it is that you would like to say, and give us information on in this here topic?
so a lot of people say they want to be happy, right? But
Yes.
that's happy is an emotion. It's not a rival point. You have to focus on the actions and the things that bring about the emotion of happy, and that's what
Mm,
you need to do more of. If you tell yourself you just want to be happy, you have not accomplished anything because you haven't set about an action plan to get there. So in a time like this, I encourage people to find those things, those people, those activities, those places that bring about the emotion of happy, bring about the emotion of peace, and do more of that. Meaning, if you're sitting in front of the TV and it brings about the emotion of anxiety, stop doing it.
Yep.
If you if you are worried about your cousin, auntie, friend that's always out, don't go around them. Like, do those things that bring about the emotion of peace and happy, and keep those on your forefront, and try to do less of what brings about the anxiety, the worry, and the stress. It's a shift of focus, it's an intentionality that has to happen. And you may find that some of the harder things, like the stressor things, they may ease a bit.
That's good.
mm. Yep.
Man. Well, this has been good. I have loved
Really
every.
good.
And Jamie, I'm gonna shamelessly plug you in here because I know we talked about how you are a therapist, but you are also a fitness coach.
I am. I am a Beachbody coach. Yeah, when I went on my personal journey a few years ago, I realized how important physical health and mental health are to tie together. You get one body, you get one temple, and you have to take care of it. That's the whole physical fitness, the workout aspect, being kind to what you put into your body, how you treat it. And in turn, mentally, when you feel well, like physically feel well, mentally you're well too. So they do definitely go hand in hand. You feed the body, you feed the mind, you feed the spirit. So yeah. Oh, but yes, I am a fitness coach. I definitely do. I'm sorry. I got sidetracked in thought. But I am a fitness coach. I definitely do accountability groups. I love women. I love empowering women. I believe that the more we pour into others, it is such a serving thing for us, for our own self. Um, I know that my life was dynamically changed by the ministry of fitness, and I just want to share that with as many people as I can.
Awesome. So if they wanted to say hire you for fitness or mental health, where would they need to find you?
Mental health side of things, I am an active therapist on betterhelp.com. I have been told that you can request a therapist. My name is Jamie Haynes on there. IG would probably be the best way to reach me in regards to fitness. I am at J Mitch Miles. That is JAMICHMILES. Instant message me. I have a public platform, so it's easy to find me. And that's probably the best way to go about with the whole fitness side of thing. I don't personally train anyone right now anymore. I used to do corporate fitness, group fitness. I used to teach classes, do one-on-one. Right now, I am an online health and fitness coach through Beachbody, and that has been a really good ministry for me right now. So I love to help people. I've known it since the 5th grade that that's what God called me to do. So,
And you're good at it. So
Yes.
she is my online beach body coach as well. So he has definitely been helping me in with my fitness, and I will second everything she says about it helping your mental health. It's very hard to be upset about anything after going and putting it all on the treadmill or all in cardio in your living room. So
right.
it's very hard to stay upset or angry for long. So if you are interested, I would say definitely reach out to her. You'd be amazed by the amount of support that you get.
Oh,
Yes, yes, yes. So go follow her.
yay. Please.
But
Jamie, don't you also have a podcast?
I
yes,
do.
see, here, guys,
I do. Look,
pulling
y'all just
all of this out of her.
pull me together, y'all. I'm so sorry. Yes, I do have a podcast with my wonderful colleague. Her name is Brittany. It is called The Melanin Perspective.
Yes.
I was actually thinking about how, when we were talking, how a lot of it becomes synonymous. Synonymous? Yes. Synonymous? Synonymous.
Synonymous.
Child. Um, yes, we are The Melanin Perspective. It's a podcast on all the outlets too, like Apple, Spotify, all that. And basically it is just an open dialogue about things that are currently going on in the world from a mental health and African American perspective, being that both Brittany and I are Black therapists. She's marriage and family, and then I'm behavioral health, mental health, LPC. So yeah. Definitely check us out. Subscribe to
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Come on, we gotta get all the plugs.
all the
Yes.
plugs.
All the
All
I
the
plugs.
appreciate y'all. Y'all help me.
And where can they find the melanin perspective?
We are at the Melanin Perspective _ on IG and the Melanin Perspective on all the podcast platforms. So like SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple, Anchor. We are there.
Awesome.
Yes. Thank you, ladies.
You are very welcome.
Yes. Well, fam, we hope that you enjoyed this conversation and was able to take something away from it. As always, we love you. T, where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Facebook at Tanisha Williams and Instagram. I just changed my name.
Name change.
I know it's a name change. I don't know. God's doing a lot with me and my talents that I have besides just hair.
Amen.
So, my Instagram handle is now She Is Tanisha J.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes, she is.
Amen.
And fam, as always, you can find me on Facebook at Kristal Charmaine and on Instagram at I am Kristal Charmaine. Until next time, we love you. We're praying for you. Stay blessed.
Stay blessed. Thank you, ladies.
You're welcome.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Thanks again for listening. We hope that you were blessed by today's discussion. To keep up with the latest on the She Laughs podcast, be sure to subscribe on most major streaming platforms. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram. If you feel led to donate, please send donations to paypal.me/She Laughs. And don't forget to send us your questions as well. We'd love to hear from you. As always, stay blessed.